The royal door Harry once believed was still slightly open has now slammed shut, and the echo is reaching all the way to California. What looked like another routine royal event has suddenly become something far more brutal, a public rejection that cuts deeper than tabloid gossip ever could. As excitement builds around the upcoming royal wedding, the absence of two names is telling the world one thing loud and clear: this family isn't distancing itself anymore. They're done. This isn't simply about missing an invitation. For Harry, it's the painful realization that the bridge back to royal life may be gone forever. When invitations for Peter Phillips's wedding started circulating, many assumed Harry would naturally be included. After all, Peter wasn't just a cousin. He was one of the few people who stood beside him during the darkest chapter of his life. But now, as the wedding draws closer, the silence from Montecito says everything. Harry hasn't merely been excluded. He's been quietly removed from the family's future. To understand why this snub stings so deeply, you have to rewind to 1997. Inside the cold halls of Balmoral, two young princes were grieving the loss of their mother while the entire world watched. Behind the royal composure, however, someone else stepped in to protect them emotionally. That person was Peter Phillips, Princess Anne's eldest son, who became a steady presence for William and Harry when everything around them was falling apart. He wasn't just family. He was their shield. For years, Peter and Harry were inseparable. They shared private jokes, nights out, and the kind of bond only formed through shared heartbreak. That's why Peter moving ahead with his second marriage, without even considering Harry, feels far bigger than a family disagreement. It feels final, the kind of cut that leaves no chance of repair. What makes this royal fallout even more shocking is that it goes beyond palace politics. This wasn't about the king or the Prince of Wales. This was the cousin circle, the one place Harry likely believed was still safe territory. For years, many assumed his issues were limited to his father and brother. Now, it's becoming painfully clear the damage runs far deeper. Peter and Zara Phillips have long been viewed as the royal family's success stories. No titles, no royal funding, no flashy Netflix deals. Just quiet dignity, real careers, and public respect. That's exactly why this decision carries so much weight. By distancing himself from Harry, Peter is sending a message the rest of the family doesn't even need to say out loud. The Sussex brand has become too toxic, even for those who once knew him best. And the history between them only makes it more heartbreaking. Peter walked behind Diana's coffin beside Harry. He witnessed the grief no cameras could capture. They shared memories and pain few people could ever understand. So for Peter to step away now suggests something far more personal happened behind palace walls. People are beginning to wonder what could push someone known for loyalty and silence to finally walk away. Rumors claim Harry's recent visits to the UK may have worsened tensions even further. Instead of reconnecting with family, whispers suggest he focused heavily on complaints about security and status. Whether true or not, the perception alone appears damaging. And the contrast with William and Catherine only makes the divide more obvious. Despite Catherine's health struggles, the Prince and Princess of Wales reportedly remained firmly included in family plans, a sign of where loyalties now stand. The divide is impossible to ignore now, Team Wales versus Team Sussex. And if we're being honest, Team Sussex looks increasingly isolated. Beyond Meghan, a few celebrity friends, and some fading Hollywood connections, many of the powerful figures once linked to the couple seem to have quietly stepped back. The people who truly matter within royal and elite social circles appear to have gone cold. What's even more striking is that the same thing now seems to be happening in Hollywood. At one point, the Sussexes looked untouchable in California. With names like the Obamas, the Clooneys, and Oprah around them, they appeared ready to build a glamorous new empire far from Buckingham Palace. But lately, something has clearly changed, and the silence is becoming impossible to ignore. Hollywood's elite are quietly backing away from Harry and Meghan, and insiders claim it all comes down to one word: transactional. In a city where image is everything, being tied to endless family feuds and public drama can damage even the biggest brands. That's why names like the Obamas and the Clooneys reportedly want distance. They built empires by avoiding chaos, not attaching themselves to it. And right now, the Sussexes no longer look untouchable. To understand why the royal family appears completely exhausted with Harry, you only need to look at Princess Anne. She's often called the hardest-working royal of them all, a woman known for discipline, silence, and duty above everything else. Even after suffering a serious horse-related accident, She reportedly returned to work within days, without complaint. That mindset became the standard she raised Peter and Zara by, and famously refused royal titles for her children because she wanted them to live normal, grounded lives. And many believe it worked perfectly. Peter and Zara are respected because they appear authentic. They work, stay private, and avoid turning personal struggles into public performances. They simply move forward. Critics argue Harry abandoned that royal blueprint long ago. According to growing public perception, he still wants the titles, security, and worldwide spotlight, but without the quiet responsibility attached to royal life. Within palace circles, the Phillips and Tyndall families are increasingly viewed as the future, loyal, hardworking, and discreet. The Sussexes, meanwhile, are often seen as the complete opposite, loud, commercial, and permanently surrounded by controversy. That's why Peter Phillips reportedly excluding Harry from his wedding is being viewed as something far bigger than a simple snub. It feels symbolic. Peter is known as someone who enjoys a normal life, a pint with friends, and staying far from royal theatrics. Insiders suggest he didn't want his wedding overshadowed by headlines turning it into the Harry and Meghan show. But the controversy doesn't stop there. A fresh wave of criticism exploded after Meghan gave a speech warning about the dangers of social media and the impact it has on children. Her message about protecting young people online resonated with many parents. Yet almost immediately afterward, she posted a photo of her daughter, Lilibet, on Instagram, a move critics quickly labeled hypocritical. The backlash grew because Meghan and Harry have spent years insisting they wanted privacy for their children. They fought photographers, condemned media intrusion, and repeatedly argued that their family life should remain protected. Now, some royal watchers believe that stance is shifting, and they think financial pressure may be part of the reason. Rumors continue to swirl that the Sussex brand is struggling behind the scenes. While Harry grew up in unimaginable privilege, critics believe Meghan understands the reality of maintaining a luxury lifestyle once the money slows down. According to speculation online, that pressure has led to a new strategy, putting the children front and center. For many critics, the Instagram photo of Lilibet crossed a line. They argue the Sussexes are now using their children's royal connection to revive interest in their brand, turning them into the next generation of royal celebrity figures. To those critics, it directly contradicts years of demanding privacy. Even the name Lilibet continues to spark debate. It was once the deeply personal nickname used only by Queen Elizabeth's closest family members, including Prince Philip. That's why some viewed Harry and Meghan's decision to use it as highly strategic from the very beginning, a way to maintain a permanent emotional link to the monarchy. Now, critics claim that same royal connection is becoming part of a larger commercial strategy. The accusation fueling online debate is simple. If the public no longer connects with Harry and Meghan's personal complaints, the focus shifts to Archie and Lilibet instead. Royal children attract attention, sympathy, and headlines in ways adults no longer can. According to insiders, the Sussex children are slowly becoming the center of the brand's future. Some even claim their public image is already being carefully planned years ahead. Whether true or exaggerated, one thing is clear. Any remaining belief that the Sussexes wanted total privacy for their children has now been seriously questioned by both critics and palace insiders alike. You can't condemn the media as toxic while simultaneously feeding it carefully curated photos of your children to keep the brand alive. That contradiction is exactly why critics say the Sussex message no longer adds up. But behind the scenes, an even bigger royal twist may be unfolding. Despite the public snubs and growing distance, rumors continue swirling about a quiet back channel between Harry and King Charles. Sources claim the king, dealing with health concerns and thinking more as a father than a monarch, may still want some form of reconciliation with his son. And that possibility has reportedly reopened discussions about Harry returning to the UK in a limited royal role, the exact half-in, half-out arrangement Queen Elizabeth firmly rejected years ago. There's just one massive obstacle standing in the way: William. If Charles represents forgiveness, insiders say William represents protection. He has watched every interview, every accusation, and every headline aimed at the monarchy. More importantly, he's reportedly furious over the attacks directed at Catherine and the damage he believes has been done to the institution itself. According to reports, William's vision for the monarchy is ruthless in its simplicity, smaller, leaner, and completely free of distractions. In that future, there's no room for royals who create endless controversy from overseas. Some insiders even claim preparations are already being discussed behind palace doors so that once William becomes king, any remaining royal privileges tied to Harry could disappear overnight. The family divide now appears sharper than ever. On one side stands the king, hoping time can repair the damage. On the other stands William, determined to protect the crown at all costs. And caught between them is Harry, torn between two worlds. He reportedly misses England deeply, the old friendships, the familiar life, the sense of belonging that came with being a working royal. But at the same time, his California identity depends on remaining the outsider challenging the system. That's why the Peter Phillips snub reportedly hit so hard. Losing royal status is one thing. Losing people who truly knew you before the fame, before the interviews, before the fallout, that's something else entirely. For many observers, it's proof that even if Harry repairs things with his father, some personal relationships may already be beyond saving. Critics are also beginning to question whether Harry shares more traits with Meghan than people once believed. While Meghan's ambition is seen as public and obvious, some now argue Harry thrives on the drama itself, the constant feeling of being misunderstood, isolated, and central to the story. The idea of secret negotiations and royal intrigue keeps him relevant, but many believe he's failing to see one uncomfortable reality. The world has largely moved on. Even Peter Phillips, once one of his closest allies, appears to have stepped forward without him. Then there's the growing debate around the Sussexes' charitable work. Events like Invictus unquestionably celebrate remarkable veterans, and the participants themselves are widely respected. But critics increasingly question whether the Sussex brand benefits more than the cause itself. Reports claiming enormous operating costs for these events have fueled accusations that too much money goes towards spectacle, global attention, and image building instead of direct support for veterans in need. To critics, it's the same pattern repeated again and again, philanthropy mixed with publicity. The cameras, speeches, and global ambassador image all help keep the Sussex brand visible. Without that spotlight, many believe the entire California operation becomes far less powerful. Which leads to the question royal watchers keep asking, what exactly is the future for Harry now? He attacks the press, clashes with his family, and then appears shocked when royal doors continue closing around him. He wants the emotional connection to Britain, but critics argue he no longer wants the discipline and restraint that royal life requires. For Meghan, many believe a UK return would be strategic, another way to strengthen the brand. For Harry, however, it seems far more emotional. The problem is that the royal family increasingly appears determined to move in the opposite direction. And once William eventually takes the throne, insiders expect a complete reset. A modern monarchy with fewer royals, fewer distractions, and no competing celebrity operation across the Atlantic. Some believe that could ultimately include removing Sussex titles altogether, a move that would ignite massive backlash and likely trigger another public war between the brothers. Because if there's one thing critics and supporters alike agree on, it's this: Harry would never go quietly. Any attempt to strip titles or status would instantly become global drama, dividing public opinion yet again and reopening every wound the family has spent years trying to close. But for now, the message coming from royal circles seems brutally clear. The royal cancellation is no longer rumored, it's happening in plain sight. And in the eyes of many observers, Harry has gone from prince to outsider faster than anyone ever imagined possible. If Diana were alive today, many believe she would be devastated watching the collapse of the bond between the two sons she fought so hard to protect. Back in 1997, Peter Phillips stood beside William and Harry during the darkest moment of their lives. Now, decades later, he appears to be the one quietly shutting the door. For royal watchers, that's what makes this fallout feel so tragic. Behind the headlines and public statements, the reality for Harry is reportedly far more painful than people realize. Critics say he's finally confronting the harsh truth that fame, money, and media attention cannot replace the family relationships destroyed along the way. The clicks may keep coming, but the trust seems gone. While the Sussexes continue navigating mounting pressure around their brand and finances in California, the royal family appears to be moving in the opposite direction, tighter, quieter, and more united than ever. Palace insiders believe the gates have now fully closed. And for the first time in his life, Harry is standing outside the institution he once called home, with fewer allies left willing to pull him back in. What started as royal tension has now evolved into something much bigger. To critics, this is no longer temporary drama or family disagreement. It's become a permanent separation, one shaped by public interviews, accusations, business deals, and years of escalating conflict. Many observers believe the Sussex era as working royals is effectively finished. The accusations of hypocrisy, the controversy surrounding their projects, and the rumors of private negotiations with the palace have all fueled the perception that the couple no longer fits within the monarchy's future. For some critics, Harry's situation now feels almost tragic, a prince caught between worlds. No longer fully royal, yet never fully Hollywood either. He still has the mansion, the public platform, and the global recognition, but many argue the one thing he truly wanted back, belonging, continues slipping further away. The symbolism of it all is impossible to ignore. A story that began in Balmoral after Diana's death now appears to be ending in Montecito, far from the palace walls where Harry once seemed destined to spend his life. And now the battle lines seem clearer than ever. Team Wales versus Team Sussex. On one side stands a monarchy focused on duty, stability, and loyalty. On the other stands a celebrity-driven brand built on openness, media attention, and public storytelling. According to critics, the royal family chose institution over fame, while Harry and Meghan chose independence at the cost of family unity. Rumors of a secret understanding between Harry and King Charles may still exist, but many believe William remains firmly opposed to any return that could reopen old wounds or create fresh controversy. As future king, he's reportedly determined to protect the monarchy from becoming an endless source of transatlantic drama. Looking toward 2026, critics increasingly argue that the Sussexes are evolving into something very different from royals. In their view, they are now media personalities and content creators trying to maintain relevance in a public landscape that may already be moving on. For Harry, the painful irony is impossible to miss. He once seemed to have everything: royal status, global admiration, and a historic legacy ahead of him. Yet now, according to critics, he's left facing the wreckage of a life split between two identities that never fully came together. The message many royal insiders believe the family is sending is brutally simple. Constant drama comes with consequences. The institution survives by protecting itself first, even when the people involved are family. And as Peter Phillips prepares for his wedding while William and Catherine continue stepping into leadership roles for the monarchy's next chapter, the question surrounding Harry remains painfully unresolved. Is he the victim of impossible pressure and public scrutiny? Or did his own decisions ultimately push him to this point? Either way, one reality appears unavoidable now. Once trust inside the royal family is broken, rebuilding it may be harder than anyone imagined. The bridge back seems increasingly out of reach, and the Sussex chapter of royal history appears closer than ever to its final page.